If you're interested in futures trading and maybe you've heard of Apex or you've heard of Wealthcharts, then this is the video for you. Hi, my name is Terry Lee and I'm a trader and investor. And in this video, I'm going to show how I use Wealthcharts, a web trading platform to trade futures. I'll also provide some tips definitely that will prevent you from losing some money the way I did in the very beginning before I really understood how the platform worked. I'll also give just a little bit of history of how we got here, and I'll talk about the sale that is going on now. So as I said, I'm Terry Lee. I am not a financial advisor. Everything that you see here is just for educational and entertainment purpose. Do your own due diligence. And with that said, let's get started. So if you've never heard of Apex or Wealthcharts, welcome. The short version is Wealthcharts is a web-based trading platform. They just recently released an app that is available for mobile devices, but for the most part, they are a web-based trading platform. And that means you can also trade futures, stocks, and options and Forex on their platform. It would appear that they have teamed up with Apex to offer futures trading to Apex's customers. And I believe, this is purely speculation, that they've done that to compete with TopStepX. So a little history: if you ever wanted to trade futures, especially in the US, your choices were NinjaTrader. That was considered the gold standard for trading futures. The little brother that came out later was Tradovate, which was web and mobile platform. NinjaTrader is only Windows. They now have a web-based or a mobile app, but initially NinjaTrader was only for Windows. So when NinjaTrader brought Tradovate, which I think as of recently is about to be sold off, but that's a whole different story and outside the scope of this video, they sort of had this complete package that anyone could trade, but it was all going through NinjaTrader. Now, many traders in the world, regardless of what they are trading, also use TradingView, charting platform to trade from. So down here at the bottom, you can see many brokers that TradingView connects to. TradeStation is one, Webull, Tradovate here. You also have Ninja down here, and you would connect your credentials and you can trade, which sounds awesome, and it is. The problem that occurs is that when there's news or lots of volatility in the market, TradingView just like says, nope, I'm not going to respond. And so you go click to get in a trade and nothing happens. You click again, and next thing you know, you're like 9 million contracts into a trade, and then you end up blowing your account. Happens quite often, or more often than people want to admit or care to stomach. So what I believe is that some of these other prop firms, these are firms that allow you to trade other people's money after passing an eval, that they decided also to create their own platform. So one of those that I distinctly remember was TopStep. TopStep is a prop firm that connects to Ninja and some other things, but then they created their own platform, TopStepX, which is again, web-based platform for trading futures. But if you trade this, and it's a great platform, I'm not going to take anything away from it, but if you zoom in, you'll notice right down here is that TradingView symbol. They are using the TradingView API, geeky programming thing, but they're using TradingView charts. Now, you don't get all the bells and whistles of all the third-party scripts and things that people can add to TradingView, but at the core, it's still TradingView charts. I believe Wealthcharts, which has their own trading platform, paired with Apex, like I said, to offer this, but their platform doesn't appear to use TradingView's charts. That's neither good nor bad, just what it is. So now that we have a little bit of the background story on how we got here, let's get to the meat of what it is to use Wealthcharts with Apex. So one thing I will say with Wealthcharts, it's not a futures trading platform. It is a web-based trading platform. Futures is just one of the things you can trade on it. All right now, so let's jump into the nitty-gritty. The first thing to understand about Wealthchart and their web-based platform is that it's made up of dashboards, which the subcomponent are layouts, and then the elements on the layout. So this is a particular dashboard. This one has the home page, which has favorites, upcoming events, blah, blah. I think it's included with one of their layouts. The next layout I have is, the next dashboard I have are my chart setups, how I would do my actual tradings. But I can click over here to this plus button and I could have another dashboard. So I could pick, let's say this wealth scanner. It's one of their components or one of their dashboards. And it's a scanner and you can customize it and all this other kind of stuff. But that's everything that deals with this particular dashboard. Pay close attention that underneath this dashboard, there's a subline here of different tabs, and these are typically layouts. So if I clicked over here on this right, I should get the power scanner. And then if I click in the middle, I get the alpha hunter, and then over to the left, the wealth scanner. Same thing as I have for this particular layout, or dashboard for trading. I have my 1 minute chart or in the 5 minute chart here, I have my trade copier here and the count balances, which I will come back to later. Over to the right would be your configuration of your overall environment and the ability, it says to save the layout, but you're really kind of saving the whole dashboard. I think they're using the terms interchangeably here. So the first thing the first tip I want to offer may help speed up execution of getting in and out of the trade. So if we look at our settings buttons over here, this may look different than your default configuration. So the trading mode might be enabled by default. I can't remember, but if I enable that, you see the little eye that pops up over things that you can then learn about each component a little bit more, some additional help essentially. You can toggle the dark mode on and off. That's not going to do anything about speed, but the thing that definitely is trade confirmation, I ended up turning that off so that it doesn't keep prompting to say, are you sure? Are you sure? And the other component, this was per Wealthcharts support help desk, was to turn off animation mode. While animation mode makes it look slick or something, it can sometimes cause a little bit of a delay, especially maybe if you're over Wi-Fi versus being wired Ethernet connection. And so I turned that off. And then I definitely saved my layout or my configuration at that point. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. The other thing to note is that I think one of the default layouts comes with the DOM, as it's called, for trading, and I don't use that. So I use the trading panel, which is connected per chart. So this becomes an important thing to note, that if you're using the same account on each side, then it doesn't really matter as much. You're maybe changing your time frames. But if I had, account 02 on the left and 05 on the right, and I happen to hit this particular getting in and out of the trade, I maybe bought market or sold or whatever, but I'm looking over here on the left. So let's say I had this close, it's really applicable to this account. So that is something to pay close attention to if you are trading multiple accounts, but looking at multiple charts and time frames, that whatever you're trading on is associated with the chart and or account that you are trading. So let me take this away, close this up, open it back up. I normally trade from the middle, or at least it seems like the middle to me. So what you can do in your account, I can't do this live because the market isn't open. It's while you can join and buy your ask and bid prices, you can also set pending orders. So if I were to go down here and right mouse click, I can buy a limit order and set it as a pending order. Or if I'm above where current price is, I could sell this limit order at the time. Now, it's not going to let me do it, like I said, because the market isn't open right now. Once it does open, by default, there's a 30% liquidation that's there. You can enable or disable it. I like it there just so you know where you are as far as the overall account. Your tick amount and dollar amount will show up here also. It also shows up here. So one of my pet peeves is about wealth charts is that while this information is helpful, if I'm on a smaller screen, what ends up happening is when I'm in the trade, these numbers populate, but it sort of kind of gets just scrunched together. So then I can't see the button because sometimes the numbers are there. And so what I trade off is on this 16-inch screen. But if you're on a smaller screen, sometimes I personally think there isn't the ability to change this a little bit. So just be aware of that. The default is not to have any kind of advanced order type. This is where you can set your ATM or risk management. So I typically use the simple bracket. I haven't really used the multi bracket, but the simple bracket has been sufficient. And then if I hit this button to expand the orders, this is where you can see setting your stop loss, your take profit level, and you can have whether you want a break even stop or a trailing stop. And this does work when you are using the trade copier, be applicable across whatever accounts you say. The next tip I'd like to share is setting up your chart environment. I'm using the dark mode is dark. So this sub chart is dark and this is dark, which makes it look a little sexy, but it can cause a problems, and it ended up costing me some money when I was doing my evals, and I kept saying, hey, Wealthcharts, your platform isn't responding, but that wasn't the case. So what was happening is this is coming down, but you're going to have your 30% threshold is way up here somewhere, but you had a take profit and a stop loss that was sitting out here. So as I'm going down, I'm moving or adjusting my stop loss, and I want to move my take profit down. What was happening is it would get down to here, and if you see it disappear, see right here, it wasn't clear that I had hit another section because right here this is all black and you can't tell that you've hit this group. So I'm going to get rid of this one just for grins and giggles because I don't really use that. So if you right mouse click on the chart and then click configure chart, this is where you can change the of your subchart. And so I clicked on my subchart and I just gave it just a slight color. You might want to do something to differentiate the subcharts as you are trading. So the next piece definitely would be is the ability to add or remove or even configure indicators, especially if you're using somebody else's layout, which we'll get to in just a second. Let's say we wanted to configure this. If I were to hover over this, and this is the way all the indicators work, is you can hide it with the eyeball and get rid of it. You can hit the gearbox, and that's to configure whatever parameters are there. And then you could hit the X to remove it. You could go up to the far left corner, hit the main menu, and type in indicators. And so let's say I wanted to add an indicator. Their premier ones are paid, but let's say I just wanted a standard indicator. And I'm going to unfavorite this. I wanted the Bollinger Bands, which I've already favorited. Clicking here isn't enough. So I have to have the check mark, and I can check a few things if I wanted to. Down here in the far right corner, I can apply these three indicators, and I can hit all three, and they will be added to my chart. And so it looks like some of these are down here in the bottom, which again, I'm not going to keep the refresh data. That's the easiest way to sort of recenter the chart. I clicked that really fast, but refresh data. And now I can see my Bollinger Bands denoted by these purple and red lines here. If I say I don't really want this indicator here, I'm going to click the plus button, and I should be able to hover over it and then hit the X to totally remove it. Same thing down here. And if I say I'm not going to get rid of the Bollinger Bands, but I'm just going to hide it for right now, and I'll keep it on the chart for grins and giggles. If I wanted to add something else to this dashboard, I can come over here to the top left menu, and I'm going to go down to education to add training up here so I can reference or watch some videos, or so I can click this. And if I hover over a space, it's going to tell me where it's going to put it. So if I put this here, it's going to put it over the scanner. If I put it here, it's going to put it beside this chart. If I put it up here, it's going to put it on top of the chart. I could put it between these two components. So between my 1 minute chart and the broker portfolio, but I'm going to put it at the end. And now I have all this training and things that I have access to, as opposed to searching all through the main menu. So let's say our charting is exactly the way we want. Maybe we want to add on our broker portfolio. This allows us to see our open positions or orders, our account balances and trades. Another thing that I like having here is my trade copier settings. What ends up happening is you'll have your leader account, whatever one is your primary account, and then whatever else you might want to copy to on a per symbol basis. So you would pick your leader. Don't be fooled by these check marks. You actually have to check the ones you want to be copied, and then you are going to do the ratio. Let's say I had a 50K account, but one of my follower accounts is 100K or 250K account. For every one micro or one mini in the leader account, then I might trade 2 or 3 or some other amount in the follower accounts. Once I have the setup that I want, then I can click Template Manager and give it whatever name I want. So I can click this button and then you can save the template. If I come back to Template Manager, then I can have a different layout for gold, a different layout for NQ or MNQ. So now everything is set just the way you like it to be. You now want to save this. So over here to the right, you're going to say save layout. So if you started from scratch or you took a template, it's going to some other name or a copy, but it's not the name you want. So after you saved it, go back to main menu. And then you, from this layout menu, then manage layouts. And then you can customize your layout. You also want to set it as the default layout. So you hit the little star, will make it the default so that the next time you log back into Wealthcharts, it will start with this default layout. Otherwise, when you come back, it's going to reestablish as the layout, the dashboard, but they say layout. So that's the quick overview of using Wealthcharts. So you can have your workspace, you can customize your layout, you can save it, you know how to get in and out of the trade, make it as nimble as possible, your settings, change the backgrounds, use the copier, as well as implement an ATM or your risk management strategy. Now, in the show notes, you also see some links. There is a 90% sale just for getting Wealthcharts via Apex for today as of this recording. If you were to see this later on, whenever Apex has a sale, you'll be able to utilize my affiliate code. So whatever Apex is having at that time, you'll be able to use my code for the discount. If they have an 80%, you'll get 80%. If they're having a 70%, you'll get the 70%, and on and on. You do not have to use my affiliate code. I just would appreciate it to help fund and grow the channel. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe, make a comment if you have any more questions about using Wealthcharts.